Greetings. Today, we'll explore how sleep impacts memory and cognitive function in old age, and why a quality night's rest is becoming more than just a necessity, but a critical tool for maintaining mental clarity and protecting against neurodegenerative changes. Sleep has long been considered a passive, restful state, but modern neuroscience has proven that it is a period of extremely active brain function, particularly in the context of learning and memory. In old age, when cognitive resources naturally decline and the risk of neurodegenerative diseases increases, the role of quality sleep transforms from essential to vital. At night, the brain doesn't simply switch off, it performs critical maintenance, sorting information acquired during the day, strengthening essential neural connections, weakening unnecessary ones, and clearing out toxic waste. When this process is disrupted due to age-related changes in sleep structure or various diseases, memory and learning ability are the first to suffer. In this analysis, we will examine in detail the mechanisms behind this connection, explain why sleep deteriorates with age, and what practical steps can be taken to protect one of our most valuable resources, mental clarity and memory. To understand the profound connection between sleep and memory in old age, it's necessary to first examine the fundamental changes that occur in sleep structure itself as we age. These changes are not superficial but systemic, restructuring the architecture of nocturnal rest and weakening key mechanisms essential for cognitive health. Normal sleep consists of a strictly organized sequence of cycles, each of which includes phases of slow-wave sleep and rapid eye movement, REM sleep. Slow-wave sleep is subdivided into stages: transitional sleep, light sleep, and the critically important deep stage, also known as delta sleep or slow-wave sleep. It is during this deep phase that the brain exhibits synchronized activity in the form of high-amplitude delta waves. This period is the primary time for physical recovery, hormonal production, and most importantly for memory, consolidation processes. The transfer of information from the short-term storage of the hippocampus to the long-term storage of the cerebral cortex. REM sleep, characterized by rapid eye movements and vivid dreams, is associated with the processing of emotional memories and procedural skills. With age, this distinct structure undergoes progressive degradation. The most dramatic and significant change is a sharp reduction in the duration and quality of deep, slow-wave sleep. The process of decreasing delta sleep begins in adulthood and can lead to its virtual disappearance by the age of 65 to 70. This means that the brain is deprived of the most restorative and physiologically significant phase of rest. Simultaneously, sleep fragmentation occurs. It becomes ragged and superficial. The number of spontaneous micro-awakenings and full-blown nocturnal awakenings increases significantly. A person can wake up numerous times a night, sometimes without even realizing it in the morning. This fragmentation is caused by a combination of factors: an age-related decrease in the arousal threshold, when the brain becomes hypersensitive to the slightest external stimuli, noise, light, temperature changes, an increase in the frequency of specific sleep-disordered breathing, such as apnea, pain syndromes characteristic of old age, as well as side effects from taking various medications. Circadian rhythms, the internal biological clock that synchronizes sleep with darkness, also undergo age-related changes. Older adults experience phase advancement. The natural times of sleep onset and wakefulness shift to earlier hours. Evening sleepiness can begin as early as 8 or 9:12 a.m., leading to very early, pre-dawn awakenings of 4:00 or 5:12 a.m. If a person tries to maintain their previous, later bedtime schedule, a chronic deficit in overall sleep duration occurs. The architecture of REM sleep also changes. Although its overall proportion may remain relatively stable, it becomes less organized, may occur earlier in the night, and is interrupted more frequently. The neurobiological causes of these changes are rooted in brain aging itself. The suprachiasmatic nucleus of the hypothalamus the main driver of circadian rhythms, decreases in volume and functionality. Melatonin production, a hormone that directly regulates sleep, declines. Atrophic processes affecting the frontal lobes and deep structures of the midbrain, such as the ventrolateral preoptic nucleus, weaken the brain's ability to initiate and maintain a stable sleep state, especially deep sleep. Thus, age-related sleep changes are not simply an annoying quirk, but a reflection of deep neurobiological changes that directly undermine the brain's ability to perform its vital nighttime work of consolidating memory and detoxifying toxic metabolites. The connection between sleep and memory is not an abstract concept, but a concrete biological process studied at the molecular and systems levels. During sleep, particularly during the deep, slow wave and rapid eye movement, or ERM sleep phases, the brain performs a number of critically important operations to process daytime information. With age, disruptions in sleep architecture directly impair these operations, leading to characteristic memory problems. The key process is memory consolidation. During the day, new knowledge or experience is initially encoded in the hippocampus, a structure similar to a computer's working memory. Its resources are limited. During deep, slow-wave sleep, so-called reactivation occurs. The hippocampus replays neural patterns formed during the day at an accelerated pace. This process is synchronized with the generation of slow oscillations and sleep spindles, specific patterns of brain activity originating in the thalamus and neocortex. Slow oscillations essentially set the rhythm in which information from the hippocampus is transferred to long-term storage, the neocortex, where it is integrated with existing knowledge and firmly fixed. Sleep spindles, high-frequency bursts, act as local signal amplifiers, helping to strengthen synaptic connections in specific neural networks. Without sufficient deep sleep, this process of transferring and integrating information is ineffective, and memories remain fragile and easily forgotten. Synaptic homeostasis occurs in parallel. Wakefulness is a time of learning, when synapses, the connections between neurons, are strengthened. If this process continues unchecked, synapses will reach saturation, and learning capacity will be lost. Slow-wave sleep acts as a global weakening of synaptic strength, returning the system to a sensitive state ready for new learning. This weakening is selective. The most important connections activated during reactivation are preserved, and background noise is attenuated. With age, when deep sleep decreases, synaptic homeostasis is disrupted, which can lead to both difficulties in learning new things and the clutter of neural networks. The third fundamental process is glymphatic cleansing. This system, discovered relatively recently, is analogous to the lymphatic system for the brain. It is most active during deep sleep. At this time, cerebrospinal fluid, CSF, rapidly cleanses brain tissue, flushing out toxic metabolic waste products accumulated during the day, including beta-amyloid and tau proteins, which are key pathological markers of Alzheimer's disease. Chronic sleep deprivation or poor sleep quality leads to the accumulation of these proteins, which sets the stage for neurodegenerative changes and directly damages the areas of the brain responsible for memory. REM sleep plays a special role, participating in the consolidation of procedural memory of skills, such as playing an instrument or riding a bicycle, as well as in the processing of emotional memories, helping to separate the emotional charge from the event itself. Age-related changes in REM sleep structure may impact these aspects, slowing the acquisition of new motor skills. Thus, the aging brain finds itself in a double bind. On the one hand, due to age-related changes, it loses the ability to generate sufficient amounts of deep sleep, the primary tool for consolidation, synaptic regeneration, and cleansing. On the other hand, the accumulation of toxic proteins due to poor cleansing further damages the neural networks and structures responsible for both sleep and memory, creating a vicious cycle. Poor sleep impairs memory and increases the risk of neurodegeneration, while developing brain pathology further disrupts sleep. Sleep disturbances in old age are not a background phenomenon, but an active and powerful factor, directly destabilizing cognitive functions and creating favorable conditions for the progressive decline of mental abilities. Their impact is cascading, beginning with subjectively experienced difficulties and potentially culminating in structural brain damage. This process is due to the fact that sleep is not a break in brain function, but a transition to a different mode of activity, where critical maintenance of neural networks is performed. When this maintenance is disrupted due to fragmentation, shortening of deep stages, or breathing disorders, the consequences manifest themselves at all levels of the cognitive sphere. The first line of attack is working memory and executive control. Working memory is the cognitive system that keeps information active for immediate use, a kind of mental notepad. It is closely linked to executive functions that control attention, task switching, and self-control. These higher functions are based in the prefrontal cortex, a region of the brain particularly sensitive to the effects of sleep deprivation and sleep fragmentation. Chronically disrupted sleep deprives the prefrontal cortex of its ability to fully recover, leading to characteristic symptoms: increased distractibility, difficulty planning even simple actions, and the inability to hold several pieces of information in mind simultaneously, such as dialing a phone number. An older person may complain of difficulty thinking or confusion, and these complaints are often attributed to age, although their immediate cause is a lack of quality sleep, without which the prefrontal cortex cannot function at its full potential. The formation and retention of episodic and semantic memories is next affected. Episodic memory, responsible for autobiographical events, and semantic memory, which stores general knowledge and facts, undergo consolidation primarily during slow-wave sleep. When slow-wave sleep is deficient or fragmented, the hippocampus, a key structure for forming new memories, cannot effectively transfer information to the long-term storage of the neocortex. This manifests itself as progressive forgetfulness. A person has difficulty recalling the details of a recent conversation, the content of an article they read, or where they put an object they just used. Importantly, long-learned knowledge and old memories may remain intact, creating the illusion that memory is fine. However, this selectivity indicates a failure in the consolidation process, not general atrophy. The most severe consequence is the direct triggering and acceleration of neurodegenerative processes leading to dementia. A key role here is played by disruption of the glymphatic system, the brain's cleansing mechanism most active during deep sleep. With its deficiency, the rate of elimination of toxic metabolites, particularly beta-amyloid protein and tau protein, decreases sharply. These proteins begin to accumulate in the intercellular space of the brain, forming amyloid plaques and neurofibrillary tangles, which physically destroy neurons and synapses. A vicious cycle begins. The accumulated proteins damage the areas of the brain responsible for generating deep sleep, further impairing cleansing and accelerating the accumulation of new toxins. Long-term cohort studies consistently show that conditions such as obstructive sleep apnea, chronic insomnia, or simply an objectively measured reduction in total sleep duration statistically significantly increase the risk of developing Alzheimer's disease and other forms of dementia over the next 5 to 10 years. At the same time, circadian rhythm disturbances, often observed in the elderly, contribute to cognitive decline. Disorganization of the internal biological clock leads to chaotic cortisol releases, disrupted body temperature regulation, and disruptions in neurotransmitter systems. This undermines the very basis of neural coordination necessary for rapid and accurate information processing, exacerbating feelings of confusion and reducing overall mental endurance. Thus, poor sleep in old age transforms from a symptom of ill-being into a powerful force in its own right, methodically eroding memory architecture weakening control over thought and paving the neurobiological path to severe cognitive impairment. Recognition of the profound connection between sleep and cognitive health in old age naturally raises the question of whether it can be addressed. Although age-related changes in sleep architecture are largely irreversible, there are a number of scientifically proven strategies aimed at improving the quality and effectiveness of nighttime rest. These measures won't restore a person's brain to its youthful state, but they can mitigate the effects, slow cognitive decline, and create more favorable conditions for memory. A fundamental approach is strict sleep hygiene and optimizing behavioral patterns. This includes creating a consistent routine, going to bed, and waking up at the same time every day, including weekends, which helps strengthen weakened circadian rhythms. Creating a relaxing pre-sleep ritual is crucial. Quiet activity without light-emitting screens like TV, computers, or smartphones, an hour or two before bed, as blue light suppresses melatonin production. The bedroom should be transformed into a sleep sanctuary, cool, dark, and as quiet as possible, which can be achieved with eye masks, earplugs, or white noise generators. Avoid caffeine in the afternoon, limit alcohol, which fragments sleep, and limit heavy meals before bed. Regular daytime physical activity, especially in natural light, strengthens circadian rhythms and promotes deeper sleep. But intense exercise should be completed several hours before bedtime. The second area is the active identification and treatment of specific sleep disorders. The most common and dangerous of these is obstructive sleep apnea, characterized by repeated pauses in breathing. It not only disrupts sleep structure, but also causes brain hypoxia, directly damaging neurons. Its symptoms, loud snoring, choking during sleep, and daytime sleepiness, are often ignored or considered normal. Diagnosis in a sleep lab and subsequent therapy, most often with a CPAP machine, which creates continuous positive airway pressure, can dramatically improve sleep quality, blood oxygenation, and, consequently, cognitive function. Other conditions, such as restless legs syndrome or REM sleep behavior disorder, also require specialized diagnosis and medication. The third approach concerns a cautious and balanced approach to pharmacotherapy. Although hypnotics may seem like a quick fix, many of them, especially benzodiazepines and Z-hypnotics, have serious drawbacks for the elderly. They inhibit deep, slow-wave sleep, suppressing the very brain waves necessary for memory consolidation. Furthermore, they increase the risk of falls, confusion, and addiction. Short-term use of low-dose melatonin to correct circadian rhythms or drugs that specifically target mechanisms without disrupting sleep architecture may be preferable if needed. Any pharmacological intervention should be strictly supervised by a physician. Non-invasive brain stimulation methods, such as transcranial direct current stimulation or acoustic stimulation with a specific rhythm synchronized with slow waves, are promising. These methods are under active research, but show potential for enhancing deep sleep and improving memory in older adults. In any case, the approach must be comprehensive and personalized. Improving sleep to protect memory is not a one-time measure, but a lifestyle that requires consistency and attention to the body's signals. While it is impossible to completely reverse age-related changes, creating optimal conditions for the brain to function at night is one of the most effective investments in maintaining mental clarity and quality of life in later years. The analysis clearly demonstrates that the link between sleep and memory in old age is not simply a correlation, but a rigorous cause and effect relationship with deep neurobiological underpinnings. Sleep, particularly its deep slow-wave phase, serves as an indispensable technologist and cleaner for the brain. It consolidates memories, optimizes neural connections, and cleanses tissues of toxic metabolites. Age-related shortening and fragmentation of deep sleep deprives the brain of this vital nocturnal support service, directly leading to characteristic cognitive problems, impaired working memory, forgetfulness, and slowed thinking. However, The key takeaway is that these changes are not a fatal or uncontrollable reality. While it's impossible to completely restore sleep in a 20-year-old, there are effective strategies for improving its quality and structure. A comprehensive approach, including strict sleep hygiene, mandatory diagnosis, and treatment of disorders such as apnea, careful pharmacology, and the development of healthy behavioral patterns, can significantly mitigate the negative impact. Improving sleep isn't a panacea for all age-related problems, but it is a powerful, scientifically proven tool for slowing cognitive decline, reducing the risk of neurodegenerative diseases, and ultimately, maintaining mental clarity and independence in later life. Therefore, our approach to sleep in old age must be reconsidered. It is not an annoying pause in activity or a sign of laziness, but a critically important, active physiological process, as essential for brain health as nutrition or exercise. Ignoring this need is tantamount to deliberately refusing to utilize a key mechanism for protecting one of our most valuable assets, human memory and intellect. That's all for today's video. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any videos. See you soon.